Well, we originally shot this video back in the end of October, and since then we've had a couple of additions. One, our most recent addition, right here, Wally, November 15th. This is Diane's second buck that she shot on our Minnesota property. Wally was one that we were watching. He was the one that said if he grew up another year, we'd call him Walter. But we're going to talk about this strategy and Kermit too at the end of this video. Make sure you stay tuned for all 5 buck stories. Now it's the end of October right now, and we've had a really cool beginning to the season, and we've been able to shoot 3 nice bucks and actually get them on film to some extent. And that's not the best part of it. It's worked out how it's supposed to. And I wanted to talk about each one of those hunts and kind of see this corn behind me. This corn is basically part of my yard. We have switchgrass, we have corn on the other side of the driveway. In the future, I'm actually going to have switchgrass back up on this first couple rows of corn, and then we're going to have a layer of pollinator blends. We love the birds, butterflies, bees, the rabbits. We really want to get some pheasants, more pheasants in the area. And then we'll have that row of switchgrass, might be 10 feet wide, and we'll have that all around the driveway, all around the corn. So it's going to change the look a little bit next year. I'm looking forward to having a driveway lined by pollinator blend and switchgrass going down here. But we'll try to attract all critters. But right now that corn is important because we want that cold weather hunting. We want that cold weather attraction. And you can bet, especially when the HuntCast days, when the weather prediction is high, that we're going to have deer hitting this corn, especially into November and December, as they're looking for that carb intake to give them energy to withstand and keep them warm during those cold temperatures. And those are going to match up well with those best weather prediction days, and so did the hunts we have. They matched up well with the weather prediction days. And I'm going to go through these hunts in order, and I hope you can appreciate each one of them. They're unique in their own way. They're special in their own way, like they all are. And that's the thing about hunting that non-hunters don't realize is just if you're watching this as someone who's on the fence and maybe hunting or not, the emotions that you can feel when you're hunting and those bonds that tie when you're hunting in different ways, and I'll talk about those with each one of these hunts, are extremely rewarding, and they create lifelong memories that to me you can't find anywhere else. Sure, there's things that are similar, but these hunting memories, it's probably one of the best activities that young kids, that people in general can get involved in and give them positive, lasting, building relationships and memories to last their entire life. It doesn't matter if it's friends or family, acquaintances. Pretty cool to be a part of that. So number one, the first hunt, such a special hunt, and it involves my wife, Diane. Diane is a new hunter. This is only her 4th year pursuing whitetails. She shot a deer with a crossbow, one with a rifle, and a couple with a rifle, her own rifle actually. And so she has a little bit of experience shooting bucks. She shot our 6-year-old target buck last year, the split brow, which was incredible. It was an awesome buck. And she had it on her screensaver for several months. That tells you how much it meant to her. I don't even think I've made the screensaver more than a couple weeks in all the years I've known her, but that buck was special. And she worked all summer long shooting her vertical bow. In Minnesota here, she has to use a vertical bow. And so she's been really practicing, and even then we were very patient. She hunted the opening day or two. Gunner came and filmed, someone who works with me, filmed in Pennsylvania, and he's worked on the lands for quite a few years. But she was targeting, we all were, a specific cold front day, and I believe it was September 28th, a really good high prediction day from HuntWise and the HuntCast. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize much more, but I talk about this because that's my weather formula from the past 30 years, something I published in Outdoor Life in 2015. But it's that formula infused into HuntCast 2.0. And so it said it was a good day to hunt. We had Dante filming her in the blind, the redneck blind, one of our favorite spots that we talk about a lot, and how that lines up with a long skinny food plot. It's in brush. You can get in and out without spooking deer, watch deer travel left to right in front of you. And then Dylan and I were hunting in another stand that night because it was a good cold front night and we were waiting for something to happen. Diane snuck in there with Dante. Dante got set up and it was so cool. I can still feel the feeling in my heart, and I know you guys have felt that in your stomach, where I look at my phone and it said something like, I shot one. And And to see that, I showed it to Dylan right away. That was a little bit emotional in itself, just sitting there kind of like, oh man, you know, all that work, all the work on the land, all the work for her shooting, and really gearing towards that vertical bow use. And it was special. But to go in there and have Dylan, Dante, Diane, myself, blood tracking, and even walking up to it, it was, I can remember the thing went straight downhill on a death run. She made a great shot. It actually went through the lungs, quartering away. She just started practicing at 30 yards the few weeks before, and it was like a 26, 27 yard shot, so she felt really confident. She made a good shot. It went straight down and died. Well, somewhere in that tracking job, about 100 yards in, 125 yards, we went across the stump, and Diane about exploded. You know, there he is, my buck, and just kind of like she was so excited, you could see her shaking, and then it was just a stump. Luckily, 50 yards later, we found him. We got to see that reaction twice. And so to be there as a family with Dante involved, Diane and Dylan, he's like part of the family. And so for us all to be together there and sharing that moment was incredible. And to me, that moment was made possible by the weather and being able to hunt that opportunity. You know, a lot of hard work goes into that, but you have to choose the best stand, the best approach. But boy, when you have the weather on your side, it's like going into a poker game with a stacked deck. You really put the odds in your favor. Now fast forward from there, mid-October, I had the opportunity to go down to Kentucky and hunt with the HuntWise crew. And I don't hunt in big operations like that very, very often. You know, outsider guide, that was only the second time in my life. But, you know, again, I've worked a lot of hours and many months with the HuntWise crew to produce that HuntCast and infuse my weather algorithm into that app and make sure it's running perfectly. And so it's been a lot of hours, a lot of travel, a lot of time, FaceTime, you know, 8, 9, 10 times throughout since February, and then also on Zoom, many meetings. And to see it all come together is awesome. To spend the time with that crew, they're an exceptional team, and they're not just an exceptional team because of their abilities. They're an exceptional team because it's like a family. And so I've gotten to know those guys, I've shared a few beers with them. We've driven the back roads around here looking for deer at night. They've been out to the house here in Minnesota, and spent a lot of time with them and the entire crew. So to be down there and camp with them was awesome. The guide down there is Salt River Outfitters. Austin was our guide. Outfitter was George. But they were pretty cool because they allowed us a little flexibility. The second time we went in, third time we went in, they said, you know, we looked at a river system or a creek system that we could move in on. And it was really cool because we were allowed to sneak in a quarter mile in this river system, go into the right wind. We got to know the stand a little bit, and we were able to talk about all the bucks that are around there. So we were able to invest our time ourselves into that a little bit with the guide and the outfitter. We were able to practice during the day, spend time with Allie from Allie's Outdoors and Chris from Crispy Hunting. Even the Swan Brothers country duo were down there. Zach and Colton, got to know them a little bit. And then again, the entire HuntWise crew. I think the HuntWise crew, we had like 900. We shot 5 bucks. And so it came down to that last night, and it was a 42% night, which was great because there was 5 and 10%. A lot of people think, well, you have to have an 80 to 100% day to go hunt, and that's not true. When you have a lot of 5 and 10, 15% days, and all of a sudden there's a 42% on a Thursday night, I couldn't wait to sit on that night. And so going in, we had the perfect wind. There was a little tunnel that blew out into the beans. Dylan had left, which is always a good sign. When he leaves, someone kills a buck. And so I had that on going for me too. The only problem with that is I had to self-film. So the footage isn't that great, but it's better than nothing. And shot that buck, and I knew I hit him in the shoulder. But I knew I had those little Muzzy Trocar HBs. It's a small head, great penetration, and long sleepless night. We went over it many times. Got 5 inches of penetration, but there's some blood on the broken shaft too. We watched the video replay over and over again. When he ran, he kicked the arrow out. Looked like it went in further, but it was hard to tell. Again, I was the cameraman, so that's a bad thing for looking over footage. So we went in the next day, and the buck only went 75 yards. And, you know, I was thinking, you know, 50-50, 80% chance, who knows what chance it was that we'd actually not find it or find it. And so we had people spread out. I just followed the direct line, which I've tracked so many deer, over 100, and to where I couldn't see him fall. So you're tracking for other people too. Kept that line he was running, Sure enough, I saw some antlers over a log, and I'll say it was emotional. It's hard not to get tears in your eyes. I think I hugged everyone there, including the outfitter, including the guides, whatever, whoever was there. It was kind of a brotherhood of hunting that you just can't explain to somebody who doesn't hunt, but it was a pretty cool feeling. And right away, with all the time I spent with Dylan in the woods and filming and shooting these videos, we've shot over 600 videos together. It kind of stunk that he wasn't there. So that was the one missing piece with all of it. But Matt from HuntWise was able to get some great footage. And again, it was a 42% night. It was a day I was excited about. And so yet another cold front buck in October. And then again, that was special. Again, with that HuntWise family and being a part of that. Totally different with Dylan, Dante, Diane. And the next one was very special because I was sitting with my son, Sam. I get to see Sam, we spend time during the summer, we go to baseball games, and then he loves to hunt with me. We don't get a lot of days together like that. I go see him in the UP, he comes down here, but he doesn't live with me full time. And so when we have that time to go to a baseball game together, when we sit hunting, that's our time. That's our special time together, and we're lucky to do that. So it came down to Sam and I were hunting. He hunted twice during the youth hunt. And the second night we were there, and I'll let this story play out a little bit. But the second night we were there, he had some bucks come in 5 minutes after shooting light. He could count the points, 10 point, and he's saying, Dad, why can't I shoot it? It's a 10 point, it's right there. And I'm like, it's after shooting hours, you can't shoot it. But I can see it. And then a bigger one stepped out. One of the big hogs, the 5-6-year-old bucks, couldn't shoot it. He was pretty disappointed. The cool thing was the next night was a 54% day on HuntWise, or 52%, whatever it was. It was a Monday night, and he was able to call and talk his mom into staying another night and say that HuntCast is telling me it's a good night. And she's like, isn't that your dad's recommendation? And he's like, no, it's HuntCast. It's HuntCast is telling me to stay. So anyway, she let him stay, and we had a great hunt. He ended up shooting a nice buck. We recovered it the next morning. Diane and Dante were there. Dante was there to recover and film the recovery and the blood tracking job. And again, another cold front sit. Whether we say it was on HuntCast or whether we just say it was my own weather prediction, it was the same. It's the same weather predictions I've been reading online for 10 to 12 years, whether it's in writing or in video. And it's really paved the way, hunting by the weather, for me to harvest bucks for the last 30 years. But at the same time, this young season in 2020, it's really paved the way to the beginning of a great season hunting the cold fronts. And I can say a couple days from now, and on October 30th, we have a beautiful morning. 2 days later on Sunday, we have another beautiful morning. And I really start to focus on pre-rut and lockdown mornings, peak rut morning hunting. That's where a lot of my bucks have been shot. And those cold fronts can really bring it to you and bring you some great hunts. I hope you enjoyed these 3 hunts so far. Like I said, we were able to get them on film in some certain way or another, but we've been fortunate as a family at the start of this season, and we're hoping that continues. But if not, we've already had a great season. The cold fronts have delivered a lot of success, those high value days. Again, that's the way I've been hunting for 30 years. And if you follow that advice, you follow the practices of the cold weather hunting, whether you just look at my algorithm and weather formula online, figure it out yourself, or you purchase a HuntCast app that you can find in the description of this video, I know you'll find success, and it's something that can change the way you hunt for the rest of your life. And it's all about creating those memories to last a lifetime. And that's why I started hunting like this in the first place. Time is precious, but time spent with family and friends is so precious in the whitetail woods, and it can deliver success and those memories to last a lifetime. And I'd love for you to deliver those memories to you. I'd like to see you practice that and take advantage of that this fall and beyond. Well, a really special cold front buck was shot on October 27th on our Minnesota farm here, and it was Kermit. We will have a complete hunt story about Kermit, all the strategy that goes along with it, at another date, pretty soon actually. But I really wanted to talk about Kermit with this cold front video. This cold front, this is the way I've hunted since the early 90s. It's a very special way to hunt, and a lot of people that hunt this way say it changes the rest of your life, and Kermit was just an outstanding example. Huge cold front on October 26th, October 27th, cat and mouse game on October 25th. Kermit was down below on another trail camera just a couple hundred yards away, just different elevation. On October 26th, I actually sat in the stand that I shot Kermit out of, and the winds were really iffy. And after I sat there for about 20 minutes, I just couldn't stand it. So I got out and moved about 400 yards, and sure enough, I got a picture of Kermit entering or exiting the woods right in the spot that would have put him right in front of the stand and right into my wind. It would have been one of those 50-50 things, and if I would have blown him out then on the 27th, I feel strongly if I would have blown him out, I would have not only not got a chance at him on October 27th, but I wouldn't have got a chance on him for at least a couple weeks in that spot, maybe the rest of the season. That could have really destroyed that hunt. So a little cat and mouse game. I had another sit where I think it was the 23rd, 24th of October. He was actually going by a cell camera when I was sitting on the other side of the property. And so really going back and forth with him, watching him since June grow, and really, that #1 target buck, and very special one, and all made possible by those cold fronts. That's when he was running around on daylight. We have the video camera footage to prove that. And then of course, him walking in front of my stand that night. So major changes in the weather at that time. We had a little bit of snow on the ground, and really made possible by those weather and those cold front opportunities that I try to teach, not only on this channel in the past, on my site in the past, Facebook, social media posts going back 12 years at least, but also through my algorithm on HuntCast. Now, last but not least, Wally. Now, Wally is a special buck. He's the third buck taken on our Minnesota property, but the second buck taken by Diane. She's ahead of me right now when it comes to our Minnesota land, and she likes to rub that in a little bit anyways, but I'm going to try to catch up. But Wally was a buck that we've been watching for a while. Beautiful buck. He was definitely a homebody, a core buck, and definitely another cold front buck. And the thing about Wally, it's a little bit different, is HuntCast we have refined to where it's at the point where when it tells you to go out on a certain day, there's going to be a portion of that day that's going to be very good, typically either morning or afternoon, especially as it relates to time of the season. Like during the rut, I love teaching that, about hunting in the morning. But we're getting into, Wally was shot on November 15th. The rut is actually starting to wind down. They talk about peak breeding date. Well, peak breeding date a lot of times entails the second rut too, in early December, end of November. So really, we can talk about does being average bred on October or November 11th, November 12th, whatever that date might be in the upper Midwest. And then that can be all the way through February, March down into the southern states. So big difference. I'm not going to mention any states, but really the rutting activity for the primary rut greatly starts to wind down by November 15th, November 13th, 12th, and by the 18th, 20th in the upper Midwest here, the rut is virtually over. Even if there's some breeding being taking place at night, even during the day, but those bucks are not cruising long range and looking, actively seeking over and over again. Those are the time of days, or I call the post rut, you're putting long hours in the stand. It may or may not happen. You may not even see a deer all day. There's opportunity, and this is an example. We had that weather front come through, as predicted by HuntCast, good weather day the next day, and we had high winds, up to 35 mile an hour that day. And what we were looking for right before dark is an opportunity for that wind to let up early, calm down a little bit, and that really puts deer on their feet, especially when there's appreciable difference. It doesn't have to go down to zero. In fact, that can hurt things. But when you go from 25 to 35 mile an hour sustained all day, it drops to 15 mile an hour. That's an opportunity for those deer to move, and that's what Diane took advantage of in the evening on September 15th, and that's why this buck was so special too. Diane getting it. I love when she shoots deer. She gets so excited. Even her tracking the deer, she just is so zoned in on that blood, and she loves to participate in that. She's actually a really good tracker. So Wally came into a scrape right before dark. Diane and I actually suffered a bout of COVID, and we feel like we're recovering well. Diane calls this her COVID buck, and that's because we're still feeling the effects of COVID-19. We weren't really sitting a long time. I'd sat a couple mornings over in Wisconsin, 45 minutes in the evening in Minnesota. Diane went out to sit for about an hour and a half. She got into her blind, opened up some windows, her favorite redneck spot, where she shot her first buck in this cold front buck series. And he was there all of a sudden. I don't even know if she sat 5 minutes, but he was in making a scrape, and he was on the move right before dark when that wind cleared up. And just another example of using the weather to your advantage, and we certainly took advantage of it. And he's a beautiful buck, one that had a lot of character. We have a lot of basic 8s and 10s around, but with the odd brow tines and being a 4x5, he really stuck out, and one that was definitely on Diane's hit list, that's for sure. We've been really blessed this year. You know, that's 5 bucks. If I would have done my part in Wisconsin, we'd have another one, so we'll maybe talk about that someday. But I've had my mess ups this year, and I'll share that with you at some other point. We'll share the full story and strategy of Wally here at some point, and Kermit. But we've had a great season so far, and we're definitely building that season, and as I've done for almost 30 years, we're building the seasons, and I'm building my hunt and my reputation and my results and success based on the weather and those cold fronts. You can do the same. Again, that's my weather algorithm and my hunting methods by the weather infused into HuntCast. That's 30 years of experience doing that, over 3 decades. And so hope you enjoyed this cold front series. We've enjoyed it, making it. Very lucky. We were planning on shooting video today anyways, and then to have Diane have the opportunity to shoot this buck just 2 days ago and get walleye in the ground. Perfect shot, by the way, right through and through, and only went about 60, 70 yards. Funny thing was, I could see Wally laying on the ground up there 50, 60 yards away, and Diane was just so zoned in looking at the blood. And I even told her, make sure you pick your head up, because even though you see a piece of him, you're hoping he's down and he's going to stay down. But he was down for good, but she's so zoned in on that blood and following it and just so full of excitement. And you can, maybe Dylan can play her little squeal when she actually found and saw Wally on the ground for the first time. But she was really excited. And I hope you enjoyed us bringing this to you this year. And we're still hunting, so we're hoping to shoot a couple more bucks before the end of the season. Now it's when it really gets into those long hours, and we have till the end of January in Wisconsin. So follow along, and we're hoping to put some more cold front bucks on the ground this year. We have opening day of Wisconsin this weekend. Hope you guys are having a safe hunt and a great hunt this year. And I hope all this cold weather, cold front information is helping you. It's helped us for over 3 decades. And I know it can help you hunt that way for the rest of your life and find a high level of success. I'm that confident in it. Good luck. Have a safe season. Well, if you made it to the end of this video, you're obviously interested in whitetail habitat solutions, what I have to teach, and you will love my new web class series. The first one is how to design your whitetail property. It's out now. The link is in the description. I invite you to check it out. It's on my website. Can't wait to hear about it.